Welcome to the Mesonet Weather Report. I'm Wes Lee. After such an extended drought, it is nice to see some saturated soils in at least parts of the state. Rainfall that started at the first of last week dropped from 1 to over 5 inches in areas south of I-44. Lighter amounts were recorded in the 1 or 2 counties north of that line. But unfortunately, no rain was recorded in the driest parts of the northwest and panhandle regions of the state, at least as of Wednesday afternoon. Where heavier rain amounts occurred, we have actually moved above normal for the calendar year. Our soil moisture maps show in detail where rains fell and areas that were left out. At 10 inches, this fractional water map shows green where moisture is good and yellow or brown where moisture is lacking. 1 year ago, the same map looked a little worse, with more western counties showing deficits. But focusing on the Panhandle illustrates how severe this continuing drought has been for them. At our deepest sensor depth, you start to see a larger area of the Northwest where deep infiltration is needed before summer planting season. The good news is we seem to be getting more wet weather chances lately, and more rain is forecasted for the early parts of next week. Now here's Gary with some moderate changes to the latest drought map.
Thanks, Wes, and good morning, everyone. Well, some great rainfall amounts across the southeastern half to 2/3 of the state, not so much across the northwestern third. How does all this impact the new drought monitor report? Well, not quite as good as we think. Let's take a look. Really the same basic drought monitor map we've had over the last few weeks. We did have a little bit of improvement down in far southeastern Oklahoma, where we went from D0 to D nada, or no drought or no color at all. But we also had a little bit of increasing drought up in the far western panhandles. We went from D3 to D4. Now, the problem with the drought monitor map when it rains after Tuesday at 6 a.m. is that cannot be considered for that week's drought monitor map. So that will go on next week's drought monitor map. So those areas that had 2, 3, 4 inches of rainfall since Tuesday morning will see vast improvements as we get into next week's map. It's also improved our 30-day map. This is the 30-day rainfall map from the Mesonet. We see again that southeastern half to 2/3 of the state, 1 to 2 to 3 inches of rain. Then we get down into the far southeastern corner. We get 6, 7, 8 inches of rain, close to 9 inches in some cases. So the rainfall definitely tapers off from southeast to northwest, but some drought quenching rainfall across the southeastern half of the state. That shows up quite well on our percent of normal rainfall map for the same time frame, the last 30 days. Above 100% of normal and even close to 200% of normal in some areas. Again, mostly across that southeastern half of the state. Much worse up in the panhandle where they're less than 50% of normal, but some cases less than 25% of normal for the last 30 days. So the haves and the have-nots, unfortunately. When we go back 6 months, that 180-day rainfall map from the Mesonet shows, again, pretty much the southeastern half of the state in much better shape than the northwestern half. Not really shocking to see this map, but when we go to the percent of normal rainfall map for that same time frame going back 180 days, we do see again, though, that most of the state is still below normal, at least going back to August 12th. So we have several different drought periods going on impacting our drought picture. So the great rainfall amounts that we've seen across the southeastern half of the state, they really do need to start to spread into the northwestern half so we can really start to curtail that drought up in that part of the state. That's it for this time. We'll see you next time on the Mesonet Weather Report.